We're all familiar with the language surrounding COVID-19. Uncertain, unprecedented, difficult, tragic. I'm sure you're as sick as I am of hearing politicians and advertisements constantly remind us of the conditions that we know we're living through. The events of the global pandemic are surely affecting some more than others, and everyone in its own unique way.
Office teams are forced to learn how to function remotely. Manual workers are either risking their health to work on the front lines or learning to entertain themselves and their families on furlough wages. Students and teachers alike turn to online learning environments, where some will find the lack of physical workspaces, reduced access to learning resources, and face-to-face contact more challenging than others.
Everyone is under a lot of stress and mental discomfort at the moment. Figures from the Office for National Statistics claim that over 2/3 of UK adults are feeling worried about the COVID-19 crisis. Breaking that down, 63% said that they feel worried about the future, 56% say that they feel stressed or anxious, and 49% say they feel more bored. Like many others, I've seen drastic changes to the way that I've lived the last 3 months of my life. In my final few months of studying for my undergraduate degree, I was forced to move my entire studio flat 150 miles back north, while also trying to secure a store transfer in my retail job so that I could afford to live. My natural response to dealing with stress and anxiety is usually one of two things. It's either exercise or video games.
What a brisk flush of lactic acid and adrenaline can't clear out, I've previously found that particular video games have had an immense alleviative effect on my mental health. I particularly recall Tetris Effect and Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe serving as an exceptional way of getting through those all-night essay writing sessions in my second year. With either game having a gameplay loop that lasts between 5 and 10 minutes, they were perfect for taking a small break every hour just to allow a pause for breath.
But when it came to playing games in lockdown, I found myself surprised at just how much my playing habits changed.
While I would usually relish in the idea of losing myself in a fantasy world or getting lost in some next level storytelling from the best in the business, I couldn't bring myself to load up any of my usual favourites. Even games I was familiar with, like The Witcher 3, just seemed so utterly daunting that I'd turn it off in favour of something less overbearing. The games I spent the most time with while completing my dissertation were LEGO Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. On the surface, two completely different genres of games, but look deeper and these two games have more in common than you might think. In a normal play setting, I'm usually focused entirely on the moment-to-moment gameplay. How does the game feel to play? Which questline most interests me today, and what can I learn about these new characters? Which new area of the map do I want to explore? I can tailor my play sessions accordingly because the length of them is dictated by the rest of life's commitments. Attending a job, lectures or social events, they all provide context for the state of mind in which we play. Take all of that away and life can become cluttered and difficult to keep track of.
You know you have work obligations or submission deadlines to meet, but without scheduled tutor sessions, library meetups, or even just a housemate to eat meals with, allocating time to work and play becomes a tricky business.
That's where LEGO Star Wars and Odyssey came in. Though acutely familiar with the LEGO games and their formula, there was something soothing about seeing a percentage bar tick up after every level or character unlock. Maybe it was because it was possible to see a reliable percentage completion applied to my progression, but ticking off levels, mini-kits and characters gave me the dopamine hit that helped me feel like I was achieving something, and it helped me bring structure into my days. I'd wake up in the morning and have a plan of action, spend an hour or two sweeping through a couple of levels in free play, complete a few more 100 words of my latest dissertation chapter. Rinse, repeat. It didn't matter to me that the game was 9 years old or that I'd completed each puzzle countless times before in my youth. The mindless act of smashing and building bricks to find a series of collectibles was enough to get me out of bed in the morning and into my office chair. I found a similar obsession in Odyssey. Though the world was just as daunting, if not more so, than that of The Witcher 3, I became fixated with the game's inclusion of the Cult of Cosmos. Interwoven with the main narrative, dismantling the Cult of Cosmos is actually a side objective that isn't even mandatory material for the credits to roll, but that didn't matter to me. All I saw was a webbed structure of cultists that needed to be taken down one by one. And so once I'd had my fill with LEGO, I turned to taking down cultists. Working your way up through the hierarchy of the cult means following a series of clues to unmask each member, which can be found by following rumours and exploring specific landmarks. It's all fairly well signposted, which suited my sheepish mental state at the time. It helped that unmasking each member roughly followed the same structure. find a clue, follow it to a location, discover the cultist's identity, and plan their execution. Slowly but surely, I ticked them all off like collectibles in a Lego game, chasing down 1 or 2 each morning before completing just enough actual work to say I'd accomplished something that day. It may be an unorthodox way to play, certainly not the way it was designed to be experienced, but it provided the lockdown life with the structure that I was so severely lacking.
I find it curious because LEGO Star Wars and Assassin's Creed are not games that are primarily designed to support a player's mental health. There are in fact several other titles out there that are much more focused on bringing comfort to a tortured mind.
Kind Words made headlines last year for breaking the mold of the traditional video game format. Specifically designed as a tool to help the player feel less lonely, developer Pop Cannibal created a cozy, anonymous environment for users to vent, discuss, and support each other through their emotions. Set in an isolated room with a backdrop of lo-fi beats to chill to, Kind Words is an idyllic recreation of what life is like for those living alone and isolated. If the Steam charts are anything to go by, it seems that a fair few turned to the game for comfort when lockdowns began to incur towards the end of March. And you have to question Nintendo's apparent clairvoyance with their timely release of Animal Crossing New Horizons mere weeks before the world was forced to lock itself away. In the thick of it, it seemed that every news outlet and their mother was hosting a feature article about how cultivating an island of exotic critters was restoring order to freelancers' lives. New Horizons differs from Kind Words in the sense that it doesn't allow you to further explore your feelings, but rather escape from them entirely. Why worry about a global superbug when you've an outstanding mortgage payment to a raccoon? And I haven't yet mentioned the plethora of multiplayer games that are providing social spaces for friends to keep in contact. Warzone, Destiny, World of Warcraft, Valorant, all of these provide a communication lifeline to those cut off from loved ones, with the added disconnect of raiding far-off alien worlds or looting the same abandoned houses for the same green tier M4.
My point is, everyone has their own way of coping, and we're fortunate enough that there's such a wide range of entertainment out there that can support our individual needs. It just so happened that mine was an unsated need to collect Lego bricks and the heads of chaos-mongering cult members.